Imagine whispering the secret to a friend and asking them to pass it down a line of 100 people. By the time it reaches the last person, the message is usually completely mangled and hilarious, right? Now, imagine passing down thousands of complex poetic songs across hundreds of generations for over 3,000 years without writing down a single word and having the final version be 100% perfectly accurate. It sounds physically impossible, but that is exactly how ancient India preserved the oldest living literature on planet Earth. Welcome to our topic, the Vedas and Vedic culture. What exactly are the Vedas? The word itself comes from the Sanskrit root vid, which literally means knowledge. There are four major collections: the Rigveda, which is the absolute oldest, the Yajurveda, the Samaveda, and the Atharvaveda, composed in an early beautiful form of Sanskrit in the northwestern region of India, traditionally called Saptasindhava or the land of seven rivers. These texts were created by brilliant seers called rishis, male sages, and rishikas, female sages. Instead of printing them on paper, they memorized every single syllable with mathematical precision, chanting them generation after generation. It is such a jaw-dropping feat of human memory that back in 2008, UNESCO officially inscribed Vedic chanting onto the list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. But these texts aren't just spiritual prayers. They are a direct window into ancient daily life. Early Vedic society wasn't run by a massive centralized empire. Instead, people lived in large, tight-knit clans called janas. The Rig Veda mentions over 30 of these clans, like the Bharatas, the Purus, and the Yadus. Each jana had a leader called a Raja, but the Raja wasn't a dictator who could do whatever he wanted. He had to answer to democratic community assemblies called the Sabha and the Samiti. Imagine a giant town hall meeting where everyday builders, weavers, potters, healers, and farmers sat together to debate, pass rules, and make choices for the whole community. The core value of this world was absolute unity. The Rig Veda literally commands the people: come together, speak together, let your minds agree, and let your purpose be united. Originally, the core of Vedic life revolved around yagna, ritual sacrifices. People would gather around a sacred fire, making offerings to please the forces of nature, like Varuna, the god of the oceans, or Indra, the god of rain. But their most important daily guest was Agni, the god of fire. Why fire? Because they believed fire was the ultimate invisible delivery system, the medium through which their earthly offerings actually reached the gods. But as the centuries rolled on, Indian thinkers started asking bigger, deeper questions. They didn't just want to know how to perform a ritual, they wanted to know the meaning of existence. This spark gave birth to a whole new set of profound texts called the Upanishads. The Upanishads completely flipped the script. They shifted the focus from outer rituals to inner philosophy, introducing concepts that define Indian thought to this day: karma, the moral consequences of your actions, and rebirth. The Upanishads unlocked a revolutionary philosophical view known as Vedanta. It taught that underneath all the chaos of the world, everything is connected and powered by one single ultimate reality called Brahman. And here is the best part: the Upanishads teach that this ultimate essence isn't sitting far away in the clouds. It lives inside you. It is called the Atman, your inner self. Because the same ultimate reality lives inside every single person, animal, and plant, the ancient seers realized that harming someone else is literally harming yourself. This deep compassion birthed one of the most beautiful universal prayers ever written: Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. May all creatures be happy, and may everyone be free from disease and sorrow. This era became an absolute explosion of intellectual freedom, and different schools of thought popped up everywhere. You had people practicing yoga to realize this ultimate reality within their own consciousness. But you also had extreme materialist schools like Charvaka, who boldly stood up and said, there is no afterlife, there is no soul, only the material world is real. Even though traditions like Vedic thought, Buddhism, and Jainism differed on many points, They all locked arms on the most important concepts, using dharma, right conduct, and karma to overcome human suffering and ignorance. And that is the story of Vedic culture. It's not just a collection of dusty hymns. It is the story of how our ancestors sat by the rivers of the Northwest, looked up at the stars, and mapped out an incredible philosophy of unity, truth, and universal love. A philosophy that didn't just survive on paper, but lived and breathed through the human voice for thousands of years, shaping the very soul of India.